nothing but the dog in me. Why must I chase the cat?
Good evening and welcome to Posse Presents. It's another beautiful Saturday, listen to me, Sunday. Another beautiful Saturday afternoon. Going to be really hot the next couple of days. So, I'm going to start by saying, please don't leave your dogs in your cars. It's going to be far too hot for that. If you have them out and about, please make sure that you have plenty of water for them. You give them lots of breaks. You let them walk on grass instead of pavement because their feet can burn too. Pretty sure you're going to hear me say this for a lot of shows for the next couple of months. And I'm also going to throw out there that traditionally, the summer months are far slower for adoptions, so that more dogs are going to become urgent. So if you're thinking of adopting, now would be the time. If you have the room in your home and your heart to foster, this would be a great time to get involved with a rescue and get some of these dogs out of the pounds, because once they start getting overcrowded, they're going to lose their lives, and it's going to be through no fault of their own. So we can all be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Anyway, tonight's got a little bit of a serious tone to it for me. Over the years, there have been many shelters and rescues and other organizations that I have openly supported. There have been some that I very quietly don't support. But I'll still promote their animals, and it's more because it's about the animals than it's about the people. Rescue should have no place for ego, and I am all about the animals. I've had relationships that have changed, but because it's still all about the animals, I don't bash or trash anybody openly, because I just really feel like it ruins my credibility, and it has the potential to hurt animals in need. There's just no need to be like that. And this past week has put me in a position that I've never been in before. It's something I need to address, and it falls under the category of moral conflict. And there's just no way I can avoid doing this one publicly. I have been talking for weeks about how excited I've been to do the annual bike show that I've done for several years. I've been a part of by doing the bake sale, by helping out. This was the first year that I was not going to be doing the bake sale. I was going to be tabling for the very first time as Posse Presents, and I was excited for that. And it was an event that was going to benefit. Zach is saying something to me, and I don't know what. We're good? Okay. I was going to, the event was going to benefit the Merit and Humane Society, and it got canceled, it got postponed because of the potential for rain last week, and that kind of turned out to be a good thing in its way. The event has been postponed to June 25th, but I have pulled out of doing my table at this event, and it's because, well, it's a multi-layered thing, but I did see a post that the Merit and Humane Society made that they were holding a fill-a-truck event at a pet store that sells puppies. Now, I do have a problem with that, and that is why I can't be involved with being a part of that. I can't add to that. I can't support that. There's just no way. Now, there was a controversy of sorts on the Merit and Humane Society page, and they subsequently canceled the Fill a Truck event. Now, yeah, I made my few comments and, remained professional about it, and they're public comments, and, you can see it on there. Most of the comments that were initially made to the event are gone, because when they canceled the event, they all went away. Now, they canceled the event because people have made an outcry, probably much for the same reasons that I did. Then they put up a post stating that, they heard the public and they've canceled the event, and, they said that this pet store has been giving them food and been supporting them with, purchases at cost and et cetera and so on. So again, I replied that it was too little too late, and, what else were they going to do about it? To which they basically said, well, we canceled the event, so what more do you want? Well, supporting a pet store that sells puppies in any way, even by shopping there, helps keep them in business and perpetuates animal suffering, in my opinion. And I would think that it would be in their best interest, being a shelter, being a rescue, being an animal welfare organization, that they would sever their ties. And I said as much and got no reply. And I feel like that's pretty much where it's going to stand. They're not severing their ties. I've gotten some information from some other sources that kind of proves me to be true. And, I'm not going to divulge all of what I know and from where I know it. But, accepting help from a place like that is like being in bed with the devil, as far as I'm concerned. I respect everyone's right to their own opinion, and I understand a shelter's need for assistance, but why would a shelter want to be involved with a store selling puppies? That much, I can't wrap my mind around it. Not only do a good chunk of those puppies end up in shelters because they're sold indiscriminately to whoever can come up with the cash, as long as you can pay for a puppy, you can have a puppy. And, whether they get you financed or, you just, have that impulse, and however you do it, they don't care. You here, have a puppy. You pay for it, it's yours. There's no consideration as to whether that puppy, when grown, will fit the lifestyle of the person who bought it, whether that person can handle a puppy, or whether their landlord, if they rent, or their parents, if they're home, will allow them to have a puppy. There's no support if anything goes wrong. If the person has, buyer's remorse, figures out they're over their head, can't have the dog for whatever reason, there's no support for that. There's no going back. And, that's a dog that is more than likely going to end up in a shelter. And it may bounce around homes to home for a while, but it's going to end up, more likely than not, in a shelter. That person's probably going to try to sell it themselves, and no one's going to want to pay them for their mistake. I've seen that altogether too often on a lot of these Facebook groups, and when I was at the shelter, people think they're going to get back what they put out, and it just doesn't work that way. So now here's this poor puppy who's growing up unwanted, and like I said, probably bouncing around, and going to end up in a shelter and glut an already overcrowded system, and probably either end up dead itself or cause another dog to be put down because it's taking up the space. And there are time and space constraints in municipal shelters. These dogs don't always end up in a rescue that's going to give them the time and find them homes. You know, I understand that plenty of these pet store puppies don't end up as an intake number, but those aren't the ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones that end up in a bad way. Now, the conditions puppies are subjected to in these pet stores are pretty bad. They're nothing more than inventory, when in fact they're babies who need love and socialization and care and attention and to be more than in a dirty cage. I understand that, you know, that's in a lot of respects how they end up in the shelters, but if you've ever been in a pet store that sells puppies, it's pretty awful for the puppies. A lot of them, if they're not, you know, cute enough or don't go quick enough, they get big in these cages and they're bounced around, and basically they're just excess inventory that, you know, they're living being creatures, breathing creatures. They don't deserve to be stuck in a cage like that for sale, you know, without something more than, you know, they're not going out for walks. They're not getting the proper socialization. You know, I've had people tell me that they've rescued a puppy from a pet store, which, you know, impulse and compassion may make it seem that way, but, you know, each puppy sold further condemns not only a shelter dog, but the parents of that puppy, which is just, that's my next part. Did you ever wonder, have you ever given any thought to where puppies come from in pet stores? Depending on what sources you get your information from, and I'm going to tell you, I brushed up, even though I don't have much use for them either, the Humane Society of the United States, the ASPCA, they do have facts and figures, and I'm not going to lie, some of the material that I tried to load to show you to support these numbers and some of the information didn't translate onto the flash drive, so I don't have it available. But you can go to their website, you can Google, you can look it up yourself, and it's a pretty sad picture that gets painted. But anyway, depending on who you look at, 99 to 100% of puppies sold in the US in pet stores come from puppy mills, and that's a fact. It's estimated that there are at least 10,000 puppy mills in the United States as of 2015, and fewer than 3,000 are regulated by the USDA. And that's not really anything to be bragging about, because the standards that the USDA put forth are so low. They're actually minimum standards, and they admit to that. The Federal Animal Welfare Act provides standards only for survival, not for humane care. Now, we've got the two pictures, the two first pictures, Zach. This is one of my favorite babies, Harley, who has gone on in his journey, but he was a puppy mill dog for 10 long years. You know, ask him how he lost his eye and we'll get there, but they very often power wash cages in puppy mills, and the dogs are not removed, and that's how Harley lost his eye. Where's the second picture? Yeah, if there's puppies in the store, you just need to walk out the door. Don't buy the lies. Puppies that come from puppy mills often have significant health problems that don't always present right away, although too many are sick right from the start. The store in question has had numerous investigations and reports of selling sick animals. You know, the store's website, I'll take the camera back, Zach. The store's website makes mention of how they get puppies from Kansas. Now, again, you can Google this information. I'm not pulling it out of thin air. Kansas, after Missouri, ties with Ohio and Pennsylvania for second place in the Humane Society list of the horrible 100 of puppy mills. And so, while they paint this rosy picture of, their breeders want to hear from the people who are buying the puppies, and, they like to keep in touch, trust me when I tell you that no breeder is going to sell puppies through a broker or to a puppy store, because breeders who are at all responsible want to know who has their puppies. They want to know where they're going. At the very least, they make the fail-safe that they will take a puppy back if something happens. And a lot of these puppy stores have these health guarantees and all kinds of nonsense that really only protects them, and it does nothing for the consumer. So you're stuck with a sick puppy, and what are you going to do? Return it? You usually at that point emotionally invested in it, and you're afraid of what's going to happen to it if you do send it back. So yeah, their website likes to say how it, they get some of their puppies from Kansas, and they transport them directly themselves. It's, how can you even not believe that they're coming from a puppy mill when it's one of the biggest states that has them? Now, unfortunately, this is where some of the maps and graphs that I had to show didn't come through. But, the truth is, like I said, no real breeder, no matter what kind of lies they try to tell you, what kind of rosy picture they try to paint, nobody who's not a puppy mill is going to just sell their puppies through a pet store and not care about where they're going. As far as, it's just my feeling, as far as, oh yeah, they want to hear from you, I doubt it. Let's get some of the puppy mill pictures up, Zach. The USDA licensed breeders, this is USDA licensed. There's really very low standards, minimal housing, minimal food. They don't worry about thriving, they just worry about survival. I mean, how is this okay? The parents of your pet store puppies are kept in deplorable conditions. They're in cramped, filthy wire cages with barely enough room to move, and that's USDA approved. They receive no exercise, no vet care, no grooming, no human interaction. They live their lives in fear, and the cages, like I said, are sometimes power washed, causing injuries to the dogs who are not removed when this is done. That's how Harley lost his eye. Now, the really sad part is, of course, now the puppies are the most important thing because of profit. So if a mama dog runs into trouble delivering puppies, they're often taken by C-section right there, without meds, without anesthesia, without a vet there, and mom can be left to die. Dogs who no longer perform to standards are often taken to auctions where they're, bought off by other breeders who will just continue to use them up. Sometimes they're just killed, and, unceremoniously at that. Sick or injured dogs are left to suffer and die. And again, it's all about the profits. Now, there's no way that I can justify, in my mind, being associated with any of this. Now, the USDA licensed kennel, let's look at the USDA standards, Zach. If you take, for instance, Harley, who measured 14 inches long and 8 inches tall, the cage only need to be 6 inches taller and 6 inches longer than him. So pretty much that's okay with the USDA. So when a place wants to tell you that, they only deal with USDA licensed breeders, this is what you're getting. Dogs that are kept in conditions that they can hardly even move in. And, there's usually multiples in there with the puppies. They're not clean, they're not cared for. They put the big feeders up on the sides. They don't even have to interact with them. The food can get moldy, contaminated, bugs in it. You know, it's just a horrible, horrible picture. And honestly, you can Google for yourself any of this information. The Humane Society of the United States, the ASPCA, National Mill Dog Rescue, or again, you can go to the Facebook page Harley or Teddy, and you can get on board with the fight against puppy mills. Harley's website is harleysdream.org. You can go through the puppy mill pictures again. Harleysdream.org is a great website where you can really get yourself involved and find out more and confirm what I'm telling you about pet stores and puppies and the whole lot of it. There's a lot of things that you can do to help that don't require doing a whole lot, actually, but your voice can be heard. And right now, voting is open for a contest where if Harley wins, there'll be a significant prize that will go for keeping Harley's dream to end puppy mills alive. Now, if you're interested in voting, you can go to tinyurl.com/vote-for-Harley's-dream. That's tinyurl.com/vote-for-Harley's-dream. Now, you know, these are some pictures that may be hard to look at, but this is the truth, and it's a hard truth. And the saddest part of it all is that according to, again, the information that's readily available online, puppy mills were started by our sweet government who proposed farming puppies because after World War II, farmers' crops were failing, and they wanted to give them a way to provide for themselves. So our own government set this whole thing up, and of course then the pet stores sprung up, and it, you know, turned into what it is today, where, you know, 10,000 puppy mills? How is that even, how can you even comprehend that when you think of the hundreds of thousands of dogs that are imprisoned in them and the suffering that they go through? If you've ever seen the pictures of these dogs that are rescued from there, it's horrible. They have, I'll take the camera back, Zach. They have, in addition to the big boxes with the food, they don't even get a water bowl. They get the little lick-it things, and so their teeth are rotted because they don't have enough moisture from licking the water out of the bowl. Their jaws are just rotted away from standing on the wire floors, which of course, you know, the wire floors promote, you know, any waste to just drop through, and then they're not necessarily contaminating themselves with that, but that's not always the case. The deformities of the feet, the health problems that all of that causes, the mats that these dogs that have longer hair, the hair loss, they get sores. I mean, it's a miserable life spent really just to die for profit. Now, I use Harley as an example because he was the hero dog in 2015, but Harley was a puppy mill dog, as I said, for 10 years, and he was left to die in a bucket when he got sick. And that's just the way it goes. You can go to his Facebook page, you can go to his website, and you could read his story. Fortunately, somebody took pity on him and got him out of there, and they didn't think he had long to live, but he certainly fooled them all, and he went on to speak his message and to educate people, and he continues even now. His page carries on the tradition to help stop puppy mills. That's the goal. That's Harley's dream. And, you know, I was fortunate enough to meet Harley and his mom and dad. And, you know, I spared us all the pictures of that tonight because this isn't about me. But, you know, Harley is an exemplary story of just recovery and life after a puppy mill. But not all of these dogs get that chance. You know, there's that National Mill Dog Rescue that goes out and tries to save as many as they can so that they don't have to go to auction and they can have life and know what it's like for the first time ever to walk on grass, to see the sky, to sleep in a bed, not to have to be afraid of hands and people. So, you know, clearly this is a big thing for me, and it's why I cannot go forward and participate with anyone who aligns themselves with perpetuating this kind of torture and abuse of animals. And again, I'm just surprised, while I recognize the need for a shelter to take care of itself and its animals, I just don't understand aligning yourself with a place that supports this. And like I said, the fact that anybody goes there, and whether even if you're not buying puppies, if you're just buying stuff, you're keeping them in business and you're perpetuating the torture. Anyway, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna say peace, love, and dogs. Don't forget to go vote for Harley. The link is on Pound Posse Presents Facebook page. Thank you, everyone, and good night.